There you go. So Dan Stowe, it will be joining the Golf Advisory Board, hopefully, if as representative of the men's club, and also a kind of a general representative from the golf world. And this is Clarence. Clarence is our representative from the RTM, so the representative town meeting. So
Nice to meet Clarence.
Hi, Dan.
Okay. So glad to have you both here today, actually. All right, so first agenda item is going to be approval of the meeting minutes from our last meeting. Whoa. So for some reason, I have June 27th meeting. Did I not?
That's what,
Did I get a mix-up?
yeah,
Okay. Sorry, just looking down at my laptop here.
yeah, let me see what got sent out.
No,
I have the November 7th.
yeah, now I got it.
packet.
I have
Oh,
it.
good, okay.
Okay. That's weird. That's just. All right. So does anybody have any comments on the meeting minutes from November 7th?
You want a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes. Can I, you want to make, I'll make the motion since you wrote them.
Since I typed them up.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from November 7th as submitted. You do have to second it though, Marie.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So, meeting minutes from November 7th accepted as submitted.
Margaret, do you want me to take minutes for this meeting, or did you
Yeah,
designate
if you don't
someone
mind,
else?
I'll try and get some notes down as well.
Okay,
And then,
I'll take notes too.
yeah. Okay. All right, first agenda item after that, citizens petitions and comments. Have we heard anything from our? Okay. Hearing none, move on. Next agenda item is new correspondence and communications. And Dan, just for future reference, this is where any feedback from the men's club would come in.
Okay.
Likewise, Marie would provide any feedback from the women's group.
I do have some comments when you're ready, Margaret. For the women's.
I'm ready.
Okay, so just more briefly than I do in the past, just a few bulleted items. One is that several SWJ members continue to play regularly, and they intend to do so all winter. If the course is open, they want to be out there. And particularly some of these are our new members from this year. There's a real kind of gung-ho group of gals that don't seem to mind 35-degree temperatures, including myself. Just kind of heads up. This, oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, it's kind of this most likely sometime in January. I'm going to target a time for an executive board meeting, and based on people's availability. But I would like in January to work with our executive board to update our handbook, which seemed to be quite successful. We had our first handbook for the league this past year, and just needs a little bit of updating. Also, planning for the 2023 season, making the calendar that we would like to propose to Todd to share, and then take what new information that we have worked this winter to update the SWGA link on the Shinnecock website so that it's current and fresh and accurate. Another item, just in kind of anecdotally, I've mentioned to a few of these winter women players that Eric's suggestion of at the last meeting of doing away with that green marker tee box that is we all gotten to know to love to hate, and just overwhelmingly I've just heard positive things to make a flat area that's agreeable and usable for the players, but also it's good for the maintenance crew too. So I've heard no objection of getting rid of the tee box as it exists and making something similar. I think like you said, something similar to like hole number 6 or 14.
Is that hole number 2 you're talking about?
Yes, hole number 2. Do away with that thing and make a something more usable that as a temporary. And I believe it was like 2026 or so that we won't really get a real tee box on there, but something flat and more reasonable is certainly more agreeable than that. Tomorrow evening, the Women's League is having their holiday dinner, and about 16, 17 the count of women who are going to attend. So that's really great that about a little more than a third of our league is here and want to get together for a holiday dinner. And then the last item is that Shoreline Interclub golf conversation, which I see later on the agenda. So I'll save my comments about that till then. That's it. Margaret, unless you have anything you'd like to add about the league.
No, I think that's great. Any questions for Marie? Okay. Dan, you have anything you want to provide feedback on for the men's club while we're here?
I think I came into tonight's meeting just an opportunity to observe. I certainly have plenty of commentary from various Shenny men's members, but probably best to just learn how these meetings go a little bit and bring them up at a later date. I think most of them deal with basic questions around golf course, landscaping and things like that. That's not stuff that will be, fixed in a night. So generally speaking, though, from the men's club as a whole, we feel like it was a great year. We were happy to see greater participation from the women's club, which was awesome. And we're excited about what 2023 is going to bring. And Marie, yes, you'll be surprised about how many people will play all winter long. It's a lot of fun.
It is.
It's one of the perks of Shenny that it is open year round, weather permitting, and we like to take advantage of it.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you want me to provide a list of some of the landscaping sort of suggestions or requests that people had, I'm happy to do that, but I could also easily jot it down and provide that in a written format at a later date too. So
Okay. That's fine. We'll have time, I think, at the next meeting for sure. And that'll be before we get going.
great.
Okay. Next agenda item, the golf course report.
I assume that everybody has a printout of the financial report of last month. We did slightly better than last year's record year month, and despite the fact that we had some 7 weather events and 4 on the weekend, compared with 4 weather events and 3 on the weekend of last year. But we continue to, when the weather is good and it's not too cold, we're still putting out monster numbers.
Okay, yep. Any questions?
Any questions at all? I'll entertain.
Okay. Thank you, Todd. Marketing report.
All right, so Jessica's back, and she provided all kinds of Facebook metrics, half of which I don't really understand. But I did pull out a couple of things that I thought were kind of interesting. So 72% of those that are engaged on our website are men and 28% are women, which I thought was an encouraging number, although I don't know, kind of across the board, what the ratio of men to women participation is kind of across the country or even within Shinnecock. I don't know if Todd may know that, the number of men versus women members. And the ages, the top ages were 35 to 44 and 45 to 54, which I guess being that we're talking about Facebook, maybe that's not so interesting, but I guess or not so surprising, but I guess it's encouraging to see that, the top ages are kind of younger than what our demographic for Shinnecock, and I think for most golf courses tends to be. We did pick up 11 more or 12 more likes and follows. We're now at 1,687. So we're slowly climbing towards that 2,000. I think when we started this a few years ago, we were way below 1,000. So,
Yep.
And our goal maybe 2 years ago was to hit 1,000, and we've hit that, and we continue to climb, which is, I think, encouraging. Another interesting, or maybe not interesting, but not so surprising, but 98% of all users are accessing Shenny's Facebook page through their mobile device. So that's
Okay.
so either a phone or a tablet. And Wildlife Wednesday continues to be probably the highest engaged post that Eric does. Although there was a post for a Veterans Day special, and that was actually the largest engagement post of the fourth quarter. So that seemed to draw a lot of comments and attention.
So Todd, can I ask, do you have off the top of your head the number of, let's say, players who aren't regulars, who were veterans, who showed up at Shenny for that promotion?
We didn't have a very large response to that.
Okay.
We try to promote it on the website.
Right.
Probably, I would guess maybe 50 or 60 vets took advantage of the offer that we had given them
Good.
on that weekend. We extended it through the weekend, so,
Okay.
but it wasn't too many. But so Mark raised the question. As of today, we have 371 members, and we have 41 lady golfers members, which represents 11%.
Okay.
Todd, you may already do this, but if you ever wanted to post any Veterans Day specials like that on a message board down at Electric Boat, there's certainly plenty of people we know down there that could facilitate getting the word out on that if it was of interest to you.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good idea. Certainly
Probably
next time you do
Pfizer as
that,
well.
Dan, that's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely Pfizer as well, Margaret. I mean, EB's got a ton of vets, which is why I thought about them, but sure.
Yeah, you'd be surprised the number of vets at Pfizer as well.
Yeah.
Very good idea. Yep. Yeah, and I, I know I have the email of the head of EBAC and certainly the golf committee chair, and I still have contacts with Pfizer that I can reach out. That's a very good idea, guys.
There was a question in my head, Mark, and it just went right past. Okay. No, thank you very much, Mark. All right, next agenda item is the first one of the unfinished business is the Shinnecock 125th anniversary.
Yeah, Margaret, I threw that in because a couple of meetings ago, there was a discussion, well, the question was raised, I guess, what and if we were going to do anything for the 125th anniversary. And I think at the time there was a discussion about Todd maybe ordering some commemorative clothing or items to celebrate. And there was also a discussion about perhaps the men and the women's club joining forces to do some kind of a tournament record or something recognizing the 125th anniversary. So I just, before we, or as we get closer to the 125th year, thought that we ought to try to finalize what we were going to do. So I wasn't
Well,
sure if the men's and women's club had had any kind of initial discussions at this point, or where we were in that whole process.
I think part of it is we were waiting to hear what the staff of the golf course were planning and kind of dealing with, and then being able to react and help from there. So I don't know where we are with, is the plan to do any kind of special 125th anniversary kind of logo or any kind of thing that then can go on to something commemorative. Perhaps it's new members who sign up in 2023, it's a special bag tag or it's some sort of special token that comes with their season pass purchase along the way. And then that's from me sitting outside the women's club or obviously the men's club.
I'm going to chime in as well. I think because towards the end of that conversation, we was brought up that we would build on what the staff would recommend possibly. I can just say for the Women's League, we have not had any conversation about it. I mentioned it at our closing meeting that next year will be the 125th. And it's something we can certainly, talk about at our executive board meeting in early winter and work with what perhaps the course administration is proposing. But we could, certainly I think we could do some kind of event tournament, do something internally for the league, but in terms of more outreach, I think we can build from what the core Shinnecock course might be doing.
I had an idea I tried to put out at that meeting, but my mic wasn't working. Perhaps have an event with old equipment,
There you go.
older clubs. That might be fun.
I think it would be.
I think I even have some.
And it doesn't, so I like the idea, just playing off your idea. I may take it completely away, and Clarence, you may go, Margaret, be quiet, but it doesn't even have to be a full round of golf type thing. It can be a skills event or something like that. How long drive, chipping, putting, doing different things with the different clubs.
Maybe
Just so
using
that-
some of those family-friendly teas as well.
Yes, exactly. I like it, Clarence.
Yeah, I like that idea. And maybe we could, folks could pull out what they used to wear 100 years ago for golf attire.
Yeah.
And have a costume portion of that.
My concern, where would you get enough old equipment to be able to have enough people participate?
Yeah,
You might be
Using a
surprised.
skills competition would be easier because then you're not sending 100 people out on the course with full sets of clubs. You're just kind of cycling them through.
Yeah, set up a tee box from 130 out or something on 9,
Yeah.
and everyone hits the same club sort of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It would be fun if we had, the restaurant do, drinks of that time period, 125 years ago, or menu, or just kind of goof it up,
Sure.
So I think we could use that as a basis for a discussion.
yeah, certainly, the webpage and Facebook and all of that, for the year, we will be pushing out the fact that it's the 125th year
Yeah.
of Shinnecock.
It would be nice to rebrand it a little bit with that in mind. You know what I mean? Like maybe change the headers on the web pages and on the Facebook pages.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that we could easily do. I don't know, Todd, Eric, any thoughts?
You might be able to do it in conjunction with that Hickory tournament we host.
Mm-hmm.
Have it on the same day.
A good idea.
So I didn't hear that with wood tournament. Just
We have a group from, I don't remember the exact name, Connecticut Hickory Society, maybe. They play a tournament. They bring 20 or 30 people the last 2 years, and they all dress up and have all their hickory clubs.
Eric, when is that tournament?
That was in
See.
August, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
Eric?
think it was around the same weekend as our
I
club
think it's
champion.
earlier in the year.
It was,
Well, we could do a week-long promotion special, pushing the 125th. And we could have 2 or 3 old drivers, Hickory drivers on number 1. And we could suggest to our golfers that they tee off with those to start their round. But offering a little bit of a discount to recognize the event. Might get a lot of action, might get some publicity, and we can always call Gavin over at the day to have him do a blurb and a little piece on the fact that it's the 125th to gin up some interest in and recognition of Shinnecock and its place in Connecticut golf history.
yeah, but Todd, when you think about doing something to really celebrate it, what ideas have come to your head in addition to that? Because that's just putting a golf club out and people as they come through on a Saturday. It doesn't, yeah, I mean, I think it would be fun to play with the old
No.
clubs, but mean, what are the ideas that you've had around this?
Well, on the 100th anniversary in 1998, we planned for a tournament, and we promoted it, and we promoted it to our men's and ladies clubs, and promoted it to our public for like a month or more leading up to the date that we had planned, and it didn't fly. So I mean, I don't know about doing a tournament. I mean, we can certainly try again. I don't know. I think you know, I think if we can get our heads together and think about what we can do, and put that as unfinished business for the next meeting, I think that might be a thing to do. Off the top of my head, nothing really comes to mind about it, other than to promote it. You know, Gavin's very good to us, the sports writer from the day, and so we can get some ink easily on that, to promote the thing. People will know that it's our 125th. I can certainly for apparel, I can do headwear, ladies and women's headwear, that we always have the 1898 Shinnecosit, and on the side we have a Donald Ross design, but we can do a name drop underneath saying 125th anniversary, and we can do a commemorative hat. Certainly we can do that, to promote the idea of it.
I think at least for the membership community, if they knew that they had to pay an entrance fee to do this tournament, but they were going to get some sort of special apparel that not everybody has, whether it's a hat, like you said, Todd, or a Shenny, golf polo, but with the Shenny 125 anniversary, I think you get a lot of members that would probably join the tournament just to get that special piece of memorabilia that not everybody's going to have. So I like that idea, and I don't know how far ahead you need to order that stuff, or maybe hats are one size fits all, perhaps, and maybe that's an easy way to do it. But
I agree. Something special.
yeah,
And it would be nice to do something special with the logo for the 125, not just kind
yeah,
of
agreed. So
adding 125 to the side of the logo or on the bottom or something like that.
Yeah, we work
Well,
with
the logo that we currently have is, well, okay, so the logo on our scorecard is the traditional logo,
Mhm.
and that is an option that I haven't used for a few years through my apparel supply. We could go ahead and do the retro logo, which is the original logo, and do that which is different than our Indian head usual logo that we've always used for shirts and headwear and so forth. So we can do that, and yeah, I mean that sure, we can certainly do that.
And Mark, does the town of Groton have access to graphics designers? Or
Yeah, I was just going to say, we used a graphic designer when we opened or created the Millwood Creek Disc Golf Course.
Mhm.
And she's also the graphic designer that does our Discover brochure
Mhm.
3 times a year. And, she's pretty reasonable and, would present us with probably 3 or 4 different designs based on feedback, initial information that we'd given her, and they can go back, and she'll usually go back and do a couple of different iterations based on, additional feedback that we give her.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Pretty cool to me.
If
I
you,
think it would be a good,
sorry. If
Go
you'd
ahead.
like, I serve on the library board. I could speak with, the administration there to see if they could do any kind of historical dig on founding of the golf course, or put together, this, programs, or they're so creative over there, just to see how they might be able to support it as well,
Mhm.
kind of from a historic point of view and research.
Yeah, and I know they have a display area that circulates fairly frequently. I don't know if things are up for 2 weeks or up for a month or what, but
The Groton History Room, yes, or even out, definitely. we could-
yeah, so I could speak to Jennifer about that. Although I think and Eric would certainly be a great resource, Eric and Todd, for, some of the historical information that we could
Sure,
provide to them. And there's a lot of traffic that goes through the library. So I think that would be a great opportunity.
maybe even
to,
a traveling display could go over to the senior center as well. to
Yeah,
July
and
55.
to the Groton City Town Hall or Groton City Hall.
Mhm.
yeah,
They might be nice to put something that went kind of
yeah,
to the various places around the area.
yep,
Would you like me to
within the-
speak to Jennifer and Michael about that?
yeah, that'd be terrific.
Okay, I'll put that on my, see if there's interest in what they might be able to do to do some display and background information.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, well, it sounds like we have the start of some ideas. I'm sure there'll be further discussion. Marie, if you could take it back to the women's group. Dan, same thing, back to the men's and see if they have.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, next, and thanks, Todd, and yeah, you guys can also kind of be looking towards like the logo and merchandising and things along those lines. The next agenda item is the goals and objectives for 2023.
Yeah, Margaret, I put these on because I think last time we looked at them and I think everybody was okay with them, but there wasn't any type of motion made, and that's kind of what I was looking for.
Okay,
A motion from the GAB to approve the goals and objectives.
all right, so yeah, I think because this looks like what we had talked about last week. I do have a question, is if we do not meet these objectives, what happens?
Everybody on the GAB, your pay gets cut in half.
Excellent. Just
Yeah.
thought I'd ask, but I figured would happen.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to have these.
Yeah, I agree.
And it kind of gives us focus and directs some of the decisions that are made. And if we don't make them, maybe look at why we didn't and what we need to do differently. And it could be that that's an unrealistic goal, or we just didn't approach it the way it should have been.
I actually think, and maybe that what we do is add an agenda item. We could even do it every other meeting instead of every meeting, where we review our progress to the objectives
Oh, okay.
for the year.
Yeah. So that we could just add that as kind of under the reports section, maybe?
Yep, exactly.
And, okay. And like you said, maybe look at it every other meeting or something like that.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I would like to make a motion to accept the 2023 goals and objectives. with a minor spelling correction. Typo. In the
Okay.
first line. To change categorized to categorized.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's it. So the motion would be to approve the goals and objectives for 2023 as amended.
Am I able to
And-
somehow see a copy of what those goals and objectives are?
Did you not get them in the,
Yeah, they should have been in the packet as a PDF, 2023 goals and objectives, along with like the monthly report and the minutes and the
the
agenda.
agenda?
Yeah, I'm thinking because I'm not officially on the GAB yet, I'm still just joining as a guest, that maybe I wasn't included in all that stuff.
Oh, I asked, how did you
It's
get the
there.
Zoom invitation?
Yeah, it's in the,
Did
yeah,
Did that come from Lisa Hilton or did that come from Margaret? Because I had
Uh,
asked Lisa to add you to the group email for the GAB.
Yeah, so I have the Zoom invitation from Lisa, but all it has is a link to the Zoom. It doesn't have any other attachments.
so it'd be Mark's email
Yeah,
from Saturday.
Yeah, I sent it out Saturday morning.
Ah, there it is.
Yeah,
Okay, my apologies. I see it all now.
that's all right. You got to put that on your important list, not immediately go to trash.
I do everything in my power to not look at emails on Saturdays. I'm sorry.
But I do everything in my power not to send them on Saturday, but
Margaret, I'll second your motion.
Okay. Any further discussion on them? And Dan, you want a second just to read them?
And I'm scanning through them. These all look common sense to me.
Pretty much. Okay. So all those in favor of accepting the 2023 goals and objectives for Shinnecock as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. All right. Next topic is the Shoreline Interclub play.
Okay, if I may, I have some updated information that I was asked to bring, and also some new information as well. For those of you who may not, Dan, you may not be familiar with this, there's a Shoreline Interclub, I wouldn't say league, but group that consists of 4 private courses, Pequot, and they're looking for a 6th course to join, and the SWGA has been invited to fill that slot. So I spoke yesterday with Casey Smith just to make sure I had the right information and to get any additional information from her. And one slight change, she said that if we chose to be a member, we would host the August match play as opposed to the September. It is really a reciprocity in terms of greens fees. One thing that I kind of drilled down with her was the eligibility of members to play. And she said this goes back 50 years or so by the reason the league was, or the club was formed, was to give opportunity to women who are what you called have medium to high handicaps. So what she said they do, and forgive me for not having the right words, but said they take what is the highest handicap that the Connecticut Golf Association allows in their their tournaments, which he said currently is 23.6. And that's the starting point of ladies that they will allow to play in this club. So a player has to have an index 23.6 or higher with today's index. She said that might move a little bit, and going up to 40. So they're looking to have women who typically may not play or be as successful in tournaments that whose index is higher than what typically it is. I looked at our roster, and Margaret, help me out, but I think, and I didn't have a complete list. I looked on Slack and it wasn't there, but I think that of our 47 members, it might apply to maybe 20. Looking at the names, it might be 20 women who would even qualify to play in this club. And looking at the people who those indexes would match, I really would have a hard time seeing a robust number of players. So what else do I want to tell you about that? The club that dropped out is Fox Hopyard, private club. And Casey Smith, she said that there's a lot of pressure. She's hearing that they are interested in coming back to it. Haven't done that yet, but there is that's hanging out there. They may not even need us, or because if they'll take Fox Hopyard if they choose to come back. So kind of the bottom line is that I think a benefit is that yes, our league would be involved in a more inter-shoreline activity. It would only satisfy or even allow a very small subset of our league to play. And I know we're recording here, so I'll be trying to be delicate, but in looking at the members who have the higher handicaps, I don't know they would be willing to do the travel and the commitment to play it 6 times in the summer. Just looking at the names of people. So, I brought this to you. I can't fully endorse the idea. I want to just leave it to you just to help with that decision. But I think I've given you kind of the overview of who would benefit from it, and versus the expense. When in talking with some of the ladies I'm playing with, there is interest to travel and to be involved with other leagues. Disappointment that they are looking for that index or higher, because that would actually pull out or not make a lot of the women who do like to compete. They couldn't qualify for this. So I bring it to you for information. I'll leave it at that if you have questions.
So I would just from what you just described, it sounds like you would prefer to just pass and move on.
Margaret, I see it as something that would benefit a very small number of our ladies.
I agree.
For a fairly large expense. And I would actually like us to do more in the, with our either Groton community or other courses that have potential of ladies wanting to join Shenecosset or come over to Shenecosset. I doubt that, and Ms. Smith, she confirmed that too when I asked her. She said these women are not looking to join another course.
No, they
belong to a course. They're committed to their course. So looking at some of our, particularly like the goal that we have to increase women membership, this would not be a strategy to do that. And it'd be a fair amount of administrative work too. I got the sense that the pros and the private courses, they manage it. They take over. But for us, it would be, just one more thing to add at a very busy time of the year too. As we're closing. So I'll be blunt about that. That would benefit just a small number, if we could even field that number of women to want to commit to playing 6 times.
So I'll ask again, are you just basically letting us know that you think the women's group will take a pass on this?
Correct.
Okay, then we're done.
I
No,
speak for
thank you.
myself, but I can't.
No, I think I would second you, by the way. No, I think that's fine. But thank you for doing the due diligence on that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. Any questions, Todd or Eric or Mark?
No, I think it's good that we went back and did a little bit more digging and got some more information. And I think certainly based on what I'm hearing, I'm not sure that at this time it's a, excuse me, it's a great match.
I agree. Okay,
Yes, I had a conversation with Marie earlier today, and I was surprised that at the index requirement, I initially was in favor of the idea to promote the competition interclub, and I said with our last discussion that you know, when we consider things like this, it's not just a matter of dollars and cents, but to have the exclusionary provision of the competition, I mean, and I concur with what Marie had said. Yeah. In general, I'm in favor of these kinds of interclub, pro golf activity kinds of things, but this probably is not a good fit.
yep, I would agree. And they have their objectives and their goals of what they're trying to do, and
That's true. That's true. And for them, it works.
yes, exactly. Okay. Moving on, next agenda item, the 2023 GAB meeting dates.
So if we stick to, if the GAB wishes to stick to Monday nights, and I was just double checking the calendar, based and stay with the months that we meet, which in the past have been February, April, June, September. And I think last year we dropped October.
Because we are delayed. a
Yeah, the
week.
September meeting is pushed back a week because of Labor Day, and there was only like 3 weeks in between. So it would be September, November, and December.
Yes,
And just to point out, 2 years ago, we started doing, the GAB started doing a joint meeting with the Parks and Rec Commission. So there's actually 2 meetings in February.
Right.
And this year, that would be February 6th, would be the GAB meeting, and February 9th, which is a Thursday evening, would be a joint meeting with the Parks and Rec Commission.
okay,
So the dates that I have would be 2/6, 2/9, 4/3, 6/5, 9/11, 11/6, and 12/4.
makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. I get a motion to approve the proposed dates for 2023 for the Golf Advisory Board meeting. Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
I motion to approve those dates.
Okay. Marie, you want a second or you want me to?
Oh, I'll second it.
Okay, cool. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Those are the dates for 2023. Next is 2023 course and membership fees, so season pass fees.
Yeah, so this is kind of a two-part discussion.
Yep.
You know, tonight is usually the initial discussion, providing the staff with just some high-level thoughts on what we should be pulling together for the February meeting, where a final proposal is put forth by the GAB and presented to the Parks and Rec Commission, and then a couple of nights later, the GAB attends that meeting, and there's a presentation made about the rates and how we came to those rates. And, you know, there's kind of a back and forth with the commission, and at the outcome of that meeting, there's proposed rates, which then go on to the town council
Okay.
for final approval.
Can you remind me again of the percent budget increase that you guys had to undertake for this year, next year?
Oh, for next year, well,
Yeah.
this is always kind of tricky because,
Because we're split.
right, and we won't know. Sometimes it's as late as or late January, early February, when we're getting like health insurance numbers, because there's a lot of numbers that get generated outside of what we can control.
Right.
And, you know, health insurance is usually a pretty sizable increase. And we're also in the midst of negotiating with the Steelworkers Union,
Mm-hmm.
and that current contract expired in June,
Okay.
and we're still negotiating. We have more meetings set up this month. So we don't really know exactly what, you know, the personnel as far as salaries is going to be. You know, hopefully by the time, you know, Eric has put the golf course budget together, it's due mid-January. Hopefully we've had some resolution, but at this point, the two parties are not that close.
Okay.
So there's a lot of unknowns.
So is there an expectation that rates will increase this year? I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, I given all the changes that are taking place, you know, materials,
Mm-hmm.
I cannot see how it wouldn't.
Okay.
And I think what we've done, the GAB's asked us to do in the past is kind of present a couple of different scenarios.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we definitely would like to see that again this year. And I know some things obviously went up last year, some things did not. So yeah, it would be very nice to see I mean, based on what you know of where your fund balance is, what your expected income is going to be, you know, assuming a normal weather year, if there is such a thing anymore, you know, where you need to be in order to be able to cover your expenses.
Yeah. And I do have I've put together a spreadsheet that kind of tracks the history of the changes.
Yep.
over like the last 10 years. So I will, and I should have sent it out with this packet, but I'll send it out separately just so that the members can kind of look to see the changes that have taken place over the last
Mhm.
10 years.
Okay. Yeah, I think you provided that last year and it was very helpful.
Yeah, and I'll send that out again.
Okay. Any questions, Dan, Marie, Clarence?
Just a quick question, being, fairly new to this. Is there any norming with rates to inflation, the cost of inflation? No, I don't know if they've ever, if you look at that as one of the considerations.
Well, I'm kind of thinking, I think in the same lines as Maria is with, yeah, cost of equipment and fertilization, all the rest of it to run the course is undoubtedly going up, but other people's expenses in life on less voluntary activities are also going up as well. So I would worry about what it does to the membership if the membership rates go up. I don't know this for a fact, but I would imagine from a revenue generation perspective, the course probably makes a lot more money off of non-members that show up and pay the daily greens fees than they do the combined membership fees of all the members. So I would encourage hiding as much of the rate increase in the daily play rates and increases in those rates above and beyond what you would do to the membership community. And I would think if if it's properly marketed with the 125th year anniversary, some of the improvements to the course that Eric and his team are making, you could really have a strong summer for people realizing, holy crap, this is the second oldest public course in Connecticut I can play, and it's a Donald Ross course, and there's a couple holes in the water, and the greens are what they are. I think you get a lot of people traveling in from out of state just to say that they did it.
Yep.
And
I
you
think-
actually took some words out of,
Yeah.
I hadn't developed the thought all the way, but I was kind of on the, to the same, but I don't want it to be an increase at what the, federal COLA is, because that's too much. It takes away
Yep.
from,
8% would be way too much.
yeah, it's way too much, because we will lose our players, many of the players.
Yep.
Have to make a decision between golf or, heating oil or whatever.
And I think the other thing along the lines of what you just said, Dan, is anecdotally, I seem to recall reading comments on Facebook and in other places that Shenny grossly undercharges for the value that you get for playing it.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Well, I mean, you just do the math of, I'm a Stonington resident,
Mhm.
not a senior, so I have the most expensive single
Yep.
membership in the course. Doing the math of how many times I play at Shenny a summer versus what I would be paying, just my out of pocket if I paid every time I showed up, it would be cheaper for me to not be a member, quite honestly.
Right.
But I'm a member because of the community and the tournament involvement and that sort of stuff. I would think that those numbers could be balanced out quite a bit. And I also think in Groton, people out Shinnecock, it's a municipal course, so be it. But I think people that are diehard golfers that don't live in the local area see playing Shenny as a bit of a treat.
Yep, and they'll still come.
Yep.
And many of our new members are not Groton residents,
Right.
SWGA. They're
Okay. No, thanks. I think it'll be an interesting discussion in February.
Have her back, Todd.
So the National Golf Foundation did a study for us back in the 2000s, and whatever is decided to do, in particular in regard to the season passes, that they recommend small incremental increases if there are any. Typically, this golf course doesn't tend to increase season pass rates 2 years in a row. Mark, is that true? I think that it is. We raised most of the membership rates last year, and we kept most of our daily fees fairly stable from the year prior. But what I would be interested in hearing from you all is typically in this meeting, there is kind of say, well, we would like to see a 3% increase in season passes and a such and such increase in daily fees, or we necessarily don't need to see an increase in membership fees because we increased last year, but maybe the daily fees would warrant it. And I can say that throughout this entire year, actually this entire past couple of years, our guests who come to pay daily fees, they don't bat an eye to what we charge. They absolutely do not. So, but I would like to know what kind of rates you want to see so that you can compare. Do you want to see 3% increase? Do you want to see 3% on the daily fees, 0% on the memberships? Do you want to see 4% on the daily fees, 0% on the memberships, or 4% on the? I mean, give me something that you want to see, and I'll write it up so that you can look at it.
Yep. So Mark, just a quick question. Are
Yep.
members of this committee, so in particular, Dan and Marie, myself, Brad, are we allowed to meet informally external from this to have that discussion, or does that need to be?
Yeah, that would have to be
official meeting.
that would have to be a posted meeting, which we can do. I mean, if you guys set a date, I can set something up.
Okay,
Yeah, I can do that.
so perhaps Dan and Marie, will grab Brad. We'll see if there's a time when we could meet and have that discussion and propose to Todd what he's asking for.
I like that.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, last year, the daily fees did not go up at all.
Yep.
And the membership went up an average of 3% kind of across the board.
And I
Yeah,
would say that 3%, I mean, that was a study that was done 20 years ago during very stable financial times.
Yeah.
And the world is kind of cycled back through to a more volatile period right now, so.
And I did try
No,
to
that's
get,
true.
I
Right.
did try to get the council to approve money to update that study, but
Okay,
I was not successful because Shinnecock is doing so well. What's this, the sentiment was, we don't need to spend money if we're doing really well.
yeah, but we could be doing not so well in 1 year.
Yep.
Is there any chance that could come out of the fund balance at some point
Yeah.
instead of from the town?
Yep.
Okay.
But I think also to Dan's point that he made earlier, when so many of our customers are really taking it on the chin with fuel costs, heating fuel costs, food costs, I think it would be reasonable to see a modest increase in the fees. I'm not saying that I'm saying no. But I think it it would be important to acknowledge that there is an issue in our current economics.
No, I agree,
situation.
but we also need to be able to cover your expenses.
Which, thank God, we've been doing nicely with COVID.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so yeah, I'll set up some time with Dan, Marie, and Brad, and we'll see if we can find a date. And then Mark, yeah, if we can get some help scheduling that, we'll just do
Sure.
it via Zoom, a recorded Zoom
Okay,
posted meeting for the town.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. So then, we've heard that the next meeting will be February 6th, right?
that is correct.
Okay. Do we also need to discuss Dan, or is Dan just, Mark, this is for you, is Dan just a member of the GAB now?
No, so I sent Dan an application.
Yep.
He got it right back to me, which is terrific. I've included it in the commission packet for the meeting on Thursday night. We were talking about this earlier. I can't imagine that the commission is going to reject his application. Getting volunteers is becoming more and more difficult, and turning away somebody that's obviously has a history with Shanticosset, does a considerable amount of golfing, has value to bring to the GAB, that they're going to say, oh no. And the fact that he was elected, or maybe he was voluntold that he was the president of
Somewhere in
the, yeah, okay. I can't imagine there's going to be any issue.
Okay. I agree.
I appreciate that. I'm excited to do my part to try to help you guys out.
Excellent. So with that, do we have any other additional items for discussion tonight?
I don't think so. Just a motion to adjourn.
Yep. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Yep, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
All right.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Nice
Night
to
all,
meet you.
happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
All right.
Night, enjoy your
Happy
holiday.
holiday. Good night. Yep.